Shanique, and I am a journalist for Aspire TV, Revolt, and a couple of other outlets. But super excited to be here with you today. I love the new album. Been a fan of your work for a hot minute. So let's jump right in.
Definitely.
So first things, first things first. If you could describe Vedo in 3 words, what would you use?
Oh man, creative, passionate, and okay, let me see. Hello. Oh, creative. I would say 3 words. Okay, creative, passionate, and I just say loving. Yeah.
Loving, yeah, and that definitely resonates through your music. Because I know we're here today to talk about 1320, the new album. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how this all came about. Can you tell me, like, when did you realize, like, I can sing, I'm gonna make a career out of this? This is what I was put on this earth to do.
Well, I mean, for me, it was a young age. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a singer when I was 12 years old. I knew I didn't have any. You know how little kids have plans. They want to be a fireman, a police officer, all that. There, nah. I had my mind made up at 12. I actually did my first performance at the age of 10, which was in church. And of course, 10-year-old singing sounds like a 10-year-old singing, but it felt so good. I felt really good being on stage and singing to people and bringing them joy and making them smile and things like that. So like literally even further back to 10, I knew I had in my mind already that I wanted to do. Not to mention my favorite group of all time was The Temptation. Watch that movie all the time.
Me too. Me too. I love the Temptations. Like I annoy my friends by always playing that movie, which I knew you were going to say that because I read an interview and you mentioned the Temptations, and so that kind of like speaks to like you. Like a lot of times people say R&B is dead, and I will tell them like you guys aren't listening to people like Vito, like
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because it's there.
yeah.
And so you bring like a refreshing familiarity of soul in your music, but you still shine bright as like yourself. I know you mentioned the Temptations as an influence, but who are some of the other artists who influence you?
Ah man, it's a slew of them. Of course, who's my mentor? You got Chris Brown. You got as far as songwriting, Neo. You got Rico Love, who's really dope. You got a bunch of people that I'm inspired by. I think what I'm inspired by the most is just people in general. Um, just people come from all walks of life. People come from harsh backgrounds. People come from growing up with a silver spoon in their mouth. But everybody has a different story and they tell it. And that's how I get my inspiration. A lot of my inspiration is from just sitting with people and talking to them. So I'm really glad we can now go hit a bar and sit at the bar and meet new people and have conversations because that sparks inspiration in the next thing that I want to do as far as music.
Absolutely. And that's how I can tell that you're a writer, right? Because, like, myself, I knew I wanted to write in second grade,
Yeah,
right? But like, that's what I always tell people, like, talking to people and like hearing their story. That's my favorite part about writing and like bringing it to life with words. So I love that for you. Can you
yeah,
tell me a little bit? And also you mentioned Chris Brown because I know you've written for Chris Brown,
yeah.
which again, alignment. I'm from Virginia, huge Chris Brown
All
fan.
right.
One of my favorite songs that you've written for him that I play all the time is Other Niggas. That's
Yeah,
really my shit. Like,
yeah,
I love that song.
yeah.
I love
I,
that song.
I didn't give it to him, but because I did it. When I did the record, it was like I was like, yo, this record is crazy. But it would have been selfish to me as a songwriter to say, hey, to my producer homie, like, nah, man, I want to keep it myself. When Chris Brown has already showed an interest in it, it would have been selfish of me to say, hey, I want to put it out on me, who got somewhat of a following, versus letting Chris Brown have it, who has tens of millions of followers. You know what I mean? So that was really the deciding factor on me giving him that record because I was in love with it.
Yeah, I love that. And I always play it for people because that's my favorite thing to do is be like, hey, have you heard this yet? So I love that. And that kind of segues into my next question because you're not only an artist, but you have a sick pen game, which speaks for itself because you've written songs for, like you mentioned, Chris Brown, Usher, August Alsina, and more. Can you tell me a little bit about what you like about being behind the scenes as a songwriter versus being the artist? Like, what do you
Oh,
like about each?
definitely, definitely the money. That is the bread and butter. Songwriting and producing. Artistry is beautiful in itself as well. But one of the well, besides the money, the other thing that I like about being behind the scenes is you're able to tell your story, but it's almost like having someone read. You know, you know what I'm saying. You write a book and somebody's reading what you wrote to someone. So that's how I look at songwriting. I have a story that I want to tell, but hey, I may be able to tell it well, but Usher may be able to tell it better. Let me give it to Usher, or let me give it to this person or every person. So I think that just storytelling, the art of storytelling, man, stories hit different when they come from certain people.
Yeah, and so when you write certain songs, like, do you write with an artist in mind, or do you like after the fact go like, oh, I know who's perfect for this?
But I used to do that, but in all honesty, it kind of boxes you in, right? Because you go into the studio and you say, hey, I want to do uh, I'm going in. I'm gonna do a record for Normani. All right. Now, is she stuck in your head? You know what I'm saying? Now you can't even it's stuck in your head that, oh no, I don't think she would sing like this. I don't think she won't do that. She's not gonna say that. When in actuality, you should go in with only one goal in mind, and that's to make a great record, no matter who it's for. It could be for her, it could be for Normani, it could be for Ari Lennox, whoever. Is because a great record will always find a home. I used to do that. I used to go in and say, y'all gotta sound like Trey Songz. I'm going to trying to do all that on the radio, on the record, and it come out trash. But when I transitioned and I started thinking like, hey, look, let me just stop going in here and psyching myself out and just make a good song. And that's kind of what other niggas was. Like I just went in there and made a good song. And Chris Brown heard it and cut it in 2 days.
Yeah. And you mentioned something like just like as you evolve as an artist, right? Because one thing I love about you is your consistency. Like we can always expect fire from Vito.
Yeah.
Like we can always expect it like as fans, like I know like we could be real pushy, but like you never have us waiting. And then but at the same time you still make quality music that if it did take a minute, we could still bump what's already out. So I know 1320 is your latest project. Can you tell me the inspiration behind this album?
Yeah, 1320, man. The inspiration behind it would be it's my daughter. But the inspiration behind the title is my daughter. The inspiration behind the actual album, I would say, is just love and passion. It's just like, real R&B. That's the inspiration behind the actual album. But the title is 2013, which is the 13, and then 2020, which is the 20. In 2013, I lost my mom to lung cancer. That was kind of like a really low place for me. It was really dark, really lonely, really scared, everything. And it kind of broke me down to a point where I didn't really care about anything. Only reason I was doing music is because I didn't want to think about, life. I didn't want to think about what's going on around me. That's the only thing that would come from the now. And over a course of 7 years, I slowly had to put myself back together, as far as just the way I thought, the way I moved, the way the way I treated people, everything. I'm not perfect. And fast forward to 2020, I had my daughter, and it was like the best feeling ever. I felt whole again. I felt full. I felt needed. I just felt like a burst of joy. Like everything, nothing mattered anymore. Once I saw my baby, once they brought my baby, I was like, oh my goodness, nothing else mattered. And that was the inspiration behind the title of this album. And for Kaden, which is my daughter, and for her, helping me come back to the light and helping me just forget all my past things, she has publishing on the album. Like I'm giving her publishing on the album and everything. So just to kind of set her up, give her that head start that we weren't afforded as black kids, as black people. We had to get it out the mud. We had to dig our way out first, then we can set up the race. Now, but for me, I want to give Kaden the head start so when she gets of age and she wants to start a business or whatever she wants to do, she has the capital to do so.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the meaning behind the title because I read that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
huge on numerology. So I looked up the angel number for 1320. And I was like, I want to tell him because like 1320, it says like that it suggests that your angels or your ascended masters, your mother, are encouraging and supporting you in your quest to continue to find success, balance, and harmony in your life. So
I really
so when I read that, I was like, yo, I have to tell him that because like I'm huge on like just life path numbers and like having those subtle reminders. And I love that you were able to use music as a healing force with that. And just I just that's just something that like fills my spirit up.
I tell my girl that I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Just you get those things where it pops in your head. And it's like, man, that'd be dope. And you really don't know the meaning behind it. You create your own meaning, which is what I did. But in actuality, it actually has a deep meaning. That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. And so lastly, I want to know like what's next for Vedo? Like I know you mentioned you want to get into acting or I know we're going to have more music, but do you have any dream collaborations or anything you want to go ahead and manifest right here?
And I definitely, I would love to collab with every R&B artist that's doing it right now. Like Giveon, you got Giveon, her, Summer Walker, you got all these dope people, man. Like, would love to collab with them. But I would say my dream collab would be Stevie Wonder. Let me do one with Stevie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get in there, soak up his expertise, man, and make a crazy record that'll last forever. I think Stevie will be my dream record for sure. And to come at acting is definitely in the works. I'm getting into some property, opening up some some lounges and some restaurants and stuff like that too. So I'm just trying to spread my money around. It's like you never want to keep all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that. And I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, you have that soul and that gift to do that collab with Stevie Wonder. And I love that you mentioned that you want to work with more R&B artists because on 1320 alone, you're working with so many like Ari Lennox, Lloyd, Jacquees, like Eric Bellinger. I was just like, yo, this is what like I was like, if it was an album that said R&B isn't dead, it's 1320.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that'll erase that R&B is dead, little saying they got flown around is if R&B artists acted as hip hop artists and collab more. R&B artists don't like that, and I don't know why, if it's a competition thing or something like that. But I'm always down. I'm always down. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I think that'll be the only thing that'll kind of, kill that whole little saying like R&B is dead. R&B ain't dead. You don't hear all these dope R&B album collabs and these joint albums that these artists are doing together. Like that'll really push us to the forefront. Like think about it. You have somebody like Usher and I'm just using them again. Usher and Chris Brown do a whole album together. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Me or Eric Bellinger do a whole album together. Or me and Giveon do a whole album together. Can you understand the impact that'll have on R&B with my fans and their fans and just like the anticipation of it? I think that's the only thing. And honestly, R&B is the only genre where our R&B artists older R&B artists don't, take the younger R&B artists and show them the ropes. You got very few that does that, but other ones kind of keep all the knowledge to themselves, which is cool. But that's why R&B is the way it is. You want to beef with the R&B. You want to beef with the young kid instead of get in and get your sauce back. You feel what I'm saying? Because everybody had their run.
Yeah.
You got to pass the torch, man. And I think that once we get out of once we get out of that headspace of, oh nah, I worked hard for this, they're gonna have to work just as hard as me. I ain't giving them nothing. Once we get out of that headspace, I think we'll grow as a genre even more.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely the superior genre because most people don't understand that everything else stems from soul and R&B music. Like it's so much history there. So I love the work that you're doing. Like keep doing what you're doing. I'm here in Atlanta, so anytime I can support as a journalist with your new endeavors and things, just let me know.
Thank you so much, love. I appreciate you. It was good talking to you.
You're so welcome. Have a good one.
Love.